Most people assume 1 acre cannot generate serious income, and that assumption costs them tens of thousands of dollars every single year. 1 acre, 5 animals, $25,000 in annual profit, laid out here animal by animal and dollar by dollar with no numbers hidden. No large operation needed, no bank loan, no hired labor. Just a stacking system small farmers have used quietly for generations. By the end of this breakdown, you will know which 5 animals to run, what each earns, and how they cut each other's costs. The result is cash flowing every month of the year from land most investors would call too small to bother developing. Here is where most small landowners find themselves: feed bills, property taxes, fencing repairs, and nothing meaningful left at year end. The average backyard farmer spends $800 a year on feed and earns back roughly $200 in egg sales. An expensive hobby, not a farm. Nobody showed them the real math, and nobody explained that running 1 animal on 1 acre will always produce a losing number. 1 income stream means 1 bad season, 1 sick animal, or 1 feed price spike wipes out everything built that year. The frustrating reality is that the system works. Farmers running this model are clearing $25,000 on less than a single acre. They do it quietly, without social media attention, on land smaller than most suburban backyards that get ignored entirely. The gap is not land size, not startup capital, and not years of experience. The gap is knowing which 5 animals to stack. This system did not show up on a farming channel 3 years ago. It goes back centuries before commercial agriculture existed. Ordinary farm families were generating real income from a single acre long before any feed company or supply chain was involved. They understood that animals work together and that one species' waste becomes another species' feed with the right intentional design. Rotating complementary animals across the same ground builds soil fertility rather than depleting it, compounding the land's value every year. A small piece of land, managed with the right livestock combination, produces more per square foot than any single crop monoculture. Then, industrial agriculture rewrote the message. They needed farmers buying feed bags and staying dependent on outside inputs every month. A self-sufficient farmer generating real income from 1 acre is a terrible customer for a feed company or supplement supplier. So the knowledge got buried, and the integrated small farm model got replaced with 1 clear instruction: specialize and purchase. Everything else? That message served the industry well for decades, but here is what it could never change. The underlying biology still works exactly the same. Animals still convert forage, scraps, and pasture into meat, eggs, milk, and fertilizer the same way they always have done. 1 acre stacked with 5 complementary animals still generates $25,000 in annual profit. The math has simply never changed. Animal number 1 is meat rabbits, the most overlooked high-returning livestock option available to any small landowner right now. Most people see rabbits as pets or a curiosity, but the production numbers tell a completely different story when laid out clearly. A single breeding doe produces 4 to 5 litters every year on a consistent breeding and management schedule. Each litter averages 7 to 8 kits that reach weaning weight within 4 to 5 weeks of birth without significant intervention. Those kits grow to a dressed weight of approximately 2.5 pounds at 8 to 12 weeks, depending on breed and feeding method. 1 doe producing at that rate delivers 140 to 160 pounds of finished rabbit meat to market over the course of a full year. Sell that meat at $6 to $8 per pound through direct farmers market sales or restaurant accounts, and 1 doe earns $840 to $1,280 annually. 6 does, and 1 buck in a hutch system taking up less than 200 square feet generate $5,000 to $7,500 in yearly gross revenue. Feed costs for that breeding colony run $600 to $800 annually when supplemented with garden scraps, hay, and seasonal forage. Net profit after all, feed and bedding costs, lands comfortably between $5,000 and $6,000 from the smallest footprint on this list. But the production numbers are only part of what makes rabbits essential. The system contribution extends well beyond direct meat sales. Rabbit manure is the only common livestock manure that moves directly onto garden beds without any composting period required. It will not burn plant root systems, it breaks down rapidly in soil, and it delivers nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in available forms. Run hutches in rotation over garden beds, and the soil receives premium fertilization for free, while the meat operation runs above it. Zero additional land required, zero grazing pressure on the pasture, and a soil fertility input that commercial growers pay for regularly. Organic gardeners and market growers actively seek rabbit manure at $1 to $3 per pound, another income layer from the same animal. A 3-tier hutch system built from lumber costs under $200, making the complete rabbit operation accessible at very low startup cost. 6 does. $1, feeders, waterers, and basic nest boxes gets the full colony running for $400 to $600 in total investment. That capital gets recovered within the first 3 to 4 months of production at the pricing levels this market consistently supports. Animal number 2 is laying hens. Not the backyard flock of 6 birds selling a few dozen eggs to neighbors each week. This model runs 50 layer hens on a 1/4 acre of rotating pasture, managed by one person in under 30 minutes daily. At peak production, 50 quality layers average 45 to 47 eggs per day in good laying conditions with proper breed selection. That daily output translates to roughly 320 dozen eggs per month, flowing into available sales channels consistently. Sell those 320 dozen at $5 to $6 per dozen through a farmer's market table or a local subscription egg box program. That pricing generates $1,600 to $1,900 in monthly gross revenue from 1/4 of the available acre of land. Feed costs for 50 hens on commercial layer ration run $80 to $100 per month before pasture rotation benefit is factored in. Here is where the stacking system begins generating returns that individual animals running in isolation simply cannot produce. The laying hens rotate behind the rabbit hutch operation on a scheduled cycle, scratching through accumulated manure in their path. While scratching, hens consume fly larvae, internal parasite eggs, and pest insects that would otherwise accumulate in the rabbit area. That pest control function benefits the entire operation, while the hens simultaneously fertilize the pasture they are moving through. The rotation means hens access fresh ground every few weeks, which naturally reduces purchased feed consumption by approximately 20%. Fresh pasture delivers fresh insects, fresh grass, and real foraging opportunities that replace an equivalent volume of commercial pellets. Net monthly profit after feed costs lands at $1,200 to $1,500 per month through the primary laying season consistently. Carried across a full year, that produces $14,400 to $18,000 annually from 50 hens working 1/4 of a single acre. That figure serves as the foundation of the $25,000 system. The remaining animals reduce costs while adding their own income layers. The layer hen operation also provides a consistent entry point for building direct customer relationships that support every other product. Egg buyers who trust the source and value the quality are the natural first market for rabbit meat, broilers, and quail eggs. Animal number 3 is Cornish Cross broilers, run in rapid 8-week production cycles that generate fast and predictable cash returns. Layer hens provide a reliable monthly income stream, but meat chickens deliver a sprint format return that gets timed around planned expenses. Cornish Cross broilers reach full market weight in 8 weeks from placement, the fastest growth rate of any common livestock animal. The cost structure per bird is straightforward. $5 to $6 per chick plus $12 to $15 in feed over the 8-week grow period. Total all-in cost per finished bird lands at $17 to $21, depending on current feed pricing and the chick source used. A finished 6-pound broilers sells at $4 to $5 per pound, live or $6 to $8 per pound, processed directly to the end consumer. That bird generates $24 to $48 in revenue, depending on sales method, processing setup, and what the local market will support. Run 50 birds per batch across 3 production batches per year: spring, early summer, and fall placements. 3 batches of 50 birds produces 150 finished animals annually available for direct market sale. Annual gross revenue from 150 broilers runs $3,600 to $7,200, depending on pricing structure and processing method chosen. Total input costs across all 3 batches land at $2,550 to $3,150, leaving net profit of $1,000 to $4,000 per year. Processing day requires real physical labor, and that fact deserves to be stated clearly before anyone commits to this production model. But the return per hour of committed labor over an 8-week cycle is difficult to match with any other small livestock option. Beyond direct sale value, meat chickens contribute a land improvement function that compounds productivity across subsequent seasons. Run batches in a portable chicken tractor moved daily, and the birds mow, fertilize, and eliminate pests as they go. By the time the 3rd fall batch finishes, the pasture those tractors covered is measurably healthier than when spring started. That soil building effect reduces purchased inputs in following seasons and improves forage quality for every other animal in the system. Customers who buy pastured broilers directly are among the most loyal farm buyers available. They return season after season reliably. Animal number 4 is pigs. Specifically 2 feeder pigs per year, a deliberate and limited commitment serving specific system functions. The case for pigs in this model is less about their direct sale margin and more about what they consume and what they do to the land. Pigs eat vegetable scraps, spent garden produce, whey left from cheese making, and stale bread from local bakeries and food producers. Many local bakeries will provide food waste free of charge because they pay disposal costs otherwise. The phone call is worth making. Restaurants, grocery stores, and food processors are additional sources of organic waste that pigs convert efficiently into finished pork. In a stacked system, pigs are the cleanup operation that converts otherwise wasted inputs into premium-priced protein for direct sale. Purchase 2 feeder pigs in spring at $75 to $150 each. That single purchase funds an entire year of pig production at this scale. Feed costs over the 5 to 6 month grow period, supplemented heavily with free and low-cost inputs, run $200 to $350 per pig. Total investment per pig, including purchase and all feed costs, lands at $275 to $500, depending on local input availability. A well-managed pig on a mixed diet reaches 250 to 280 pounds live weight over that grow period without requiring expensive specialty rations. Dressed weight from that animal produces 180 to 200 pounds of finished pork cuts for direct-to-consumer sale. Sell at $4 to $6 per pound, hanging weight direct to local buyers, and one pig returns $720 to $1,200 in gross revenue. 2 pigs per year generates $1,140 to $2,400 annually, with net profit after all inputs of $900 to $1,800. Those numbers alone do not carry the full weight of justifying the management commitment. The land work is the real contribution. Designate any section of the acre that needs clearing, weed elimination, or soil preparation, and run the pigs there for 2 months. 2 pigs working a designated paddock will root every persistent weed, turn the soil to depth, and deposit significant organic fertility. What a tractor rental costs $500 or more to accomplish, 2 pigs do for free. And then they become finished pork at the end of the season. The combination of land preparation plus food production is the dual function that makes pigs essential rather than optional in this model. Pig buyers who come to the farm for pastured pork become part of the direct customer network supporting every other product as well. Animal number 5 is Coturnix quail. And this was the animal that produced the most unexpected numbers when the math first got examined. Coturnix quail begin laying eggs at 6 to 8 weeks of age, compared to 18 to 24 weeks for standard laying hens. That timing difference makes quail the fastest path from first purchase to first income of any animal on this list by a significant margin. Each hen lays up to 300 eggs per year, under good management with consistent light, temperature, and proper nutritional support. Quail eggs sell at farmers markets and specialty retailers for $6 to $10 per dozen, 2 to 3 times the price of chicken eggs. Health-conscious consumers, high-end restaurant buyers, and specialty food shoppers actively seek quail eggs and pay the premium readily. Here is the complete financial picture for a 50-bird Coturnix operation running within this 5-animal stacking system. 50 quail consume roughly the feed volume equivalent of 6 to 8 standard laying hens. The feed efficiency is genuinely remarkable. Monthly feed cost for 50 quail runs $20 to $25 total. The lowest ongoing feed expense of any animal on this entire list. At 40 eggs per day from a healthy 50-bird flock, production runs approximately 85 dozen eggs every month without interruption. Sell those 85 dozen at 7 per dozen, and monthly gross revenue reaches $595 against a monthly feed cost of $20 to $25. Net monthly profit lands at approximately $570, carrying through 12 months to produce $6,840 annually from one compact structure. The housing for 50 quail can be a converted shed corner, a garage section, or a dedicated outdoor pen with simple weather protection. No large land footprint, no pasture rotation required, no noise that troubles neighbors. Quail fit almost any property configuration. Coturnix also cycle for meat. They reach harvest weight in just 5 to 6 weeks, faster than any other bird on this list. A dressed quail sells for $4 to $6 at specialty markets, independent butchers, and farm-to-table restaurants seeking local sourcing. Adding a meat cycle alongside egg production can push a 50-bird operation toward $8,000 to $9,000 in combined annual income. Establish the egg customer base first, build the waiting list, and then layer in the meat cycle once regular buyers are confirmed. Buyers who receive quail eggs weekly become the most reliable market for quail meat when that production channel opens. Quail represent the most efficient income per square foot of any animal on this list. They belong in almost every small acreage system. 3 years into working the land, selling it started to feel like the only rational decision still available. Chickens, a small market garden, 2 pigs each season. Real effort going in every week with nothing meaningful showing at year end. Every season, the notebook showed the same result. The profit had gone somewhere, and tracking down exactly where was impossible. Feed bills climbed faster than egg income could cover, and pig sale revenue had been absorbed by hauling costs and fence repairs. Then at a county fair that fall came a conversation with an older farmer who had done this for 40 years and did not waste words. He looked at the production records and cost sheet for 30 seconds before handing the notebook back across the table. His response came without hesitation. You are running one thing at a time on land that is designed to run 5 simultaneously. That single sentence reframed everything about how the property and its potential had been understood up to that point. Not more land, not more capital, not more experience, just more intentional stacking on the same acre that already existed. Quail came that fall. 30 birds in a hutch built beside the chicken coop from reclaimed materials for under $200 total. Within 8 weeks of placement, the first eggs were arriving, and within 3 months, a customer waiting list was paying $8 per dozen. Meat rabbits entered the system the following spring. 6 does and 1 buck in a 3-tier hutch for under $200 in materials. Rabbit manure began rotating into the garden beds immediately, and soil structure visibly improved by midsummer of that first season. By year end, the operation had shifted from losing money to generating over $19,000 in documented net profit on the same acre. Same land, same family, same total weekly labor hours. The only change was a stacked system running where isolated animals had been. No additional land was purchased, no outside financing was arranged, and no hired help entered the operation at any stage. The difference between a farm losing money and one clearing $25,000 is almost never land size or available startup capital. It is the number of complementary income streams running simultaneously on whatever land already exists. That is the entire variable. Before purchasing every animal on this list simultaneously, here are the 5 mistakes that turn this system into a financial mess fast. Mistake 1 is launching all 5 animals before a single one is running smoothly and generating consistent documented return. 5 enclosures under construction while managing 5 learning curves means no animal gets the focused attention it needs in the early weeks. Start with 2 species that match current skills and infrastructure. Run them profitably. Then add the third with that foundation beneath it. Mistake 2 is underpricing products out of fear that the local market cannot support what premium pasture-raised production actually justifies. Calculate the true cost of production per unit for every product and set prices above that number every single time without compromise. Selling eggs at $2.50 a dozen when the same market supports $5 or $6 is leaving thousands of dollars on the table annually. Customers choosing local direct from farm food are choosing quality over the cheapest available option. Price accordingly. Mistake 3 is running the same animals on the same ground without a rotation schedule from the very beginning of the operation. Fixed animal positions allow parasites to accumulate in soil, ground compaction increases, and pasture coverage disappears within one season. One season without rotation can take multiple subsequent seasons to recover from in terms of soil health and parasite load. A 3 to 4 week rotation cycle applied consistently does the opposite. It builds soil biology and reduces parasite pressure every year. Mistake 4 is scaling production volume before establishing the customer base capable of absorbing that volume reliably. Running 150 broilers to harvest with no confirmed buyers means a significant portion of production becomes a direct financial loss. Build direct buyer relationships first. Sell 25 birds. Confirm demand is real and repeatable. Then scale the batch size from there. Every unsold animal at the end of a production cycle represents the full input cost of that animal with 0 offsetting revenue. Mistake 5 is tracking gross revenue instead of true net profit, the number that matters most and gets overlooked most often. Feed, bedding, processing labor, equipment repair, replacement animals, and market fees all come out before profit is a real number. Track every input cost from week 1 of operation and calculate actual net profit monthly. That discipline separates farms from hobbies. The farmers winning consistently on 1 acre are always the ones with the tightest cost tracking, not the most animals on the property. Every dollar tracked from day 1 builds a picture of which animals carry the system and which need adjustment to stay profitable. The rabbit colony alone can fund startup costs for every other animal on this list within the first 18 months of consistent production. Quail egg customers already on a waiting list represent confirmed demand before a single additional bird ever gets purchased or housed. Layer hen pasture rotation applied for 3 consecutive years builds topsoil at a rate that measurably reduces fertilizer costs each season. The pig paddock cleared in spring becomes the most productive planted bed on the acre by the time fall planting season arrives. Meat chicken tractors moved daily across designated sections prevent the ground compaction that destroys fixed pen pasture within 1 season. A direct customer buying eggs weekly is a natural buyer for rabbit meat, quail eggs, and broilers from the same trusted local source. Building loyalty around one product and expanding through that same relationship is the most cost-effective marketing any small farm has. Local restaurants, specialty grocers, and food co-ops actively seek consistent small farm suppliers and pay premium prices for reliability. Year-round cash flow from 5 species means no single month is completely dependent on one animal or one seasonal production window. When laying hens slow in winter, quail maintain full output. That production overlap is the cash flow protection single-species farms lack. When feed prices spike for one input, 5 different feed requirements mean the total cost impact spreads and absorbs across the system. The stacking model is not only a production strategy, it is a financial risk structure built into the design of the farm from the start. Picture what this 5-animal operation looks like 3 years from the day the first species gets intentionally added to the system. The pasture is in measurably better condition than on day 1 because 5 species have been cycling nutrients back into the soil all along. Feed bills trend downward annually as the land produces more forage and stacking efficiencies compound across every animal in the system. The rabbit hutches are fully paid off and generating pure margin, and the quail setup that costs $300 is still producing income every week. 5 distinct income streams run simultaneously. No bad season or sick animal collapses the whole operation the way one stream always could. Year 1 is the learning and building phase where systems get established and early direct customers get identified and secured. Year 2 is where the operation becomes clearly profitable and the model proves itself against the real documented numbers. Year 3 is optimization, tightening feed costs, raising prices as the customer base grows, adding processing capability for better margins. Adding on-farm processing capability in Year 3 increases margin per bird by 40% without adding a single additional animal to manage. Farmers running this model consistently do not talk about quitting. They talk about which complementary species they are adding next. That shift in the conversation is the real long-term benefit that extends beyond the annual profit figure into something more permanent. It is the confidence of knowing the acre is working as hard as the person managing it and improving every year rather than degrading. Look at the land today and ask one honest question. How many distinct income streams are actually running on this property right now? If the answer is 1 or 2, the math laid out here has shown exactly what to add and precisely what each addition is worth annually. Pick one animal from this list not currently on the property and commit to building that layer properly this season. Start small, get the operation running profitably, then layer the next animal in with the same deliberate and documented approach. The $25,000 annual figure is not the ceiling for a farmer who understands the stacking model. It is simply the confirmed starting point. Drop a comment naming which of the 5 animals you are adding to your operation first. Every single comment gets read personally. Subscribe and hit the bell for weekly breakdowns of real farming numbers, real systems, and real strategies built for small land. Small acreage worked with intentional design has always outperformed large acreage worked carelessly. That math has never changed. Now take the acre that already exists and make it work the way it has always been capable of working with the right animals in the right order.